Good morning, friends. Hope you are doing well. We're back out at the farm today with a lot of determination and a positive attitude. So it's a new day. I've been up for a very long time because I just couldn't sleep. My brain was working the problem, which always happens to me in the middle of the night. So I have tools with me today. I have seedlings with me today. We've got a fresh pile of really good compost over here. So we are going to tackle trying to liberate some of these plants, the feverfew specifically. This is a really important crop for me. I'm going to work on loosening the soil tremendously around every plant by hand with small hand tools so I don't do any damage. And then we're going to add a whole bunch of fresh compost, kind of try to mix it in. Then we're going to give them a good fertilization, a soak with the watering can, with fish emulsion and water. Try to get that all to filter through, and that should help them tremendously if compaction is our real issue here. The next thing we're going to do is go into this netted bed that's insect netting. Pull the netting off. There's a handful, like literally like maybe 5 or 6 of the hundreds of snapdragons that I planted in there that actually are going to be worth saving. The rest are still so tiny that they will never grow, so I'm going to do the same soil treatment there. But it'll be easier and faster because I won't have to worry about as many plants. I have all these snapdragons here and this whole row of snapdragons here to put in the ground. Now, yes, it is a risk that it's contaminated soil, but I really feel like it is a compaction issue. And so I'm going to go with that, and we will know within over the next couple of weeks whether that's true or not. Now, the Statice and the the Scabiosa, I'm going to go ahead and plant that in the Lizzie beds because those also have about the same time period of, ripening. And so everything in that bed can get turned over at the same time as needed. But I do also have Cynoglossum that I will find a home for, maybe in better soil. We'll just see. So I've got seedlings to work with, but before I do that, I need to get all this soil loosened up. So it's just going to be a lot of manual labor today, hands and knees labor, nothing super strenuous, but I'm really hoping that I can make a difference here. Now, if in 2 weeks I find that still there's no growth at all in this feverfew after giving it this treatment, then I'm going to pull up the plants, get all the clods of compacted soil off their roots, and transplant them to a new location with safe soil. Feverfew is, like I said, a really crucial crop for me in June and July, and then it gives me a second flush later in the year. So last year I planted about 70 plants last year, and I lost all but 5 to the gophers. And so this year I still have pretty much every plant that I planted. I desperately need them to succeed. Okay, so I'm just going to get started. I'm listening to a book, and I'm just going to chill and work my way through this. It's chilly out here this morning, but it'll get warm as the day goes on. Over the next couple of days, we're going to have really nice weather, but then on Monday and Tuesday, it'll be nice, but it's going to be very warm, upper 70s. And so those are the days that I'm going to use to go into my beehives, the big hives, check on them, see if they need extra space so they don't swarm. See if I might have to split again. We'll just see how they're doing. All right, I'm gonna get started. that's done. I feel really good about this. Using the fork to break up the soil by hand, it was hard work. My wrists are actually really sore right now. But I think that will help tremendously. I need to get staples and get this guy back in the right place. I think that will help tremendously. They look good. Like, you know, I think they just need to get bigger and we'll be okay. Usually they're blooming by June, so fingers crossed. But yeah, adding the compost on top, because the other thing I noticed is that the individual plants were sitting literally like above the surface of the soil, like all the soil had washed away and they were just kind of stuck there. So adding the compost around the base of those plants is going to help a lot too. And that was fish emulsion and water to water them in. So good about that. Fingers crossed that will work. I am not going to do the rest of this bed today. That's a lot of work, and I need to focus on this bed, which has the snapdragons in it. So I'm gonna uncover it, but as you can see, there's a few in here, but not too many. So they're gonna get the same treatment, and then I'm gonna transplant more snaps. And we'll hope that this works. I really hope that this addresses the problem. You know, the subsoil has a lot of clay, but I did grow out here with this soil last year and things were fine. This is the Amimagus I'm talking about. It is 5 to 6 feet high. And like I said, it's a carrot variety, so it has a taproot, which means that it goes past the crappy compaction on the surface and then down into the native soil. Now, ranunculus don't do that. They have corms. They don't send out a huge root system, and so they probably stayed stuck in the 2 to 3 inches of crappy soil on the surface and just got kind of locked in. Some of the ranunculus are trying, like those right there are trying to bloom. I mean, they're blooming, but like those plants should be 4 times that size, and there should be 8 to 10 blooms per plant. And we're definitely not going to get that. The Orlea is doing well too. This is Orlea right here. And then we have other chocolate lace flower, which is way down there, which is also doing fine. So I'm even more convinced that this is a compaction issue, and I think I can fix it. It's just going to take a lot of work, but that just means that I will focus on areas that I need to open for planting right now, and then I can just take my time. But like maybe the rest of this bed becomes zinnias because it's mostly empty. You know what I mean? Like, so I will definitely have to change my planting map, but that's not a problem. I just want to make sure everything has a place and good soil. So I'm really glad I've got this big pile of good compost. Like I said, these guys are looking good. Let's just hope that this loosening up the soil has fixed the problem. Okay, on to the snapdragon bed. So it's 10:30 right now. I have a max of 2 hours that I can spend out here. Then I need to get home and do some stuff before I go pick Dylan up at the airport. So I want to try to maximize my time, get as much done as possible. You know, if I was going to pull up, like when I do this part of the bed, when I do this end of this bed, I will pull up all of that irrigation and put it aside till about the feverfew here. And then I'll use like a fork and just really go through it manually and not worry about it, because then I won't have to worry about piercing the irrigation tube, and I won't have to do it by hand with a small tool. It'll go a lot faster. All right, I'm gonna uncover this bed and see where we stand, get it all loosened up, add the compost, mix it in, and then we'll transplant. Snapdragon bed done. There are tons of ants. That's one thing I noticed when I started breaking up the soil in both beds. So many ants came pouring out. Now, we're luckily here we don't have fire ants like we did in the southeast when I grew up in Florida. These are just black ants, but that's really interesting. So I transplanted. This is all intermingled. It's no longer separated by variety, but I don't care. I can tell them apart because I know what colors I planted. Since I can no longer sell wholesale, it doesn't really matter. I also put the Status in, packed it pretty tight, and I'm really hoping that this will actually produce. Like I said, normally by now in the season, I have Strawflower, Snapdragons, and Status producing flowers. So the big challenge right now is going to be that the daffodils and the tulips are probably going to be done in the next 2 weeks. And then I've got nothing blooming until these things go, probably in June, mid-May to June. So yeah, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do, you guys. I've got customers I've got to serve. Granted, there's not that many because it's the CSA, but this is a lot of lost revenue. The biggest problem too is that summer CSA is actually the lowest membership, and that's because people are out of town a lot in the summer, and having a weekly, bouquet membership means they have to have somebody else pick it up for them, whatever, and so they don't feel like they're getting their money's worth. So I do have summer people sign up, but not nearly as many as spring and fall. So that's why I've got to find something to do with all the flowers. Normally, it's the CSA, and I was doing a lot of wholesaling last year in the summer because florists need flowers. So now I'm trying to get local florists on board with buying local flowers. I don't know, something will work out. It's hard to know that I'm going to be suffering a loss of things to harvest when I really need them in the prime season, which is spring. So I also planted at the top of this Lizzie bed, we've got Bachelor Button the Bride and then Sinoglossum, both the Mystery Rose and the blue. It's a small patch of them, but these plants are super prolific. They will produce so many stems. And then here's the Lizzie. Now, the guys down here look great. These are suffering from lack of water. So I need to go investigate why. That's why I gave them a deep watering. They'll be okay, but I need to investigate what's going on with this irrigation, because it's possible that these two lines are not working properly. And then down here we put the remaining Snapdragons. This is a tiny little patch there, and then this is all Scabiosa. So yeah, that stuff will be good to go. And then of course we've got the Lizzie here. And like I said, I'm worried about the irrigation because the soil was dry when I stuck my finger in there. So I think on my way out today, I'll stop by the barn and just hit go on the irrigation and then come back down and see if it's actually dripping. It should be. I know it's working up there because the soil underneath was still quite damp. It's super damp down here because it's a little bit on a hill and the water runs down and it pools. And so this soil down here is damper than the stuff up ahead. Okay, that's about it for all I can fit in today. I am going to come back out tomorrow morning, just check on things, make sure everything's still here. I am going to cover up the Snapdragon bed again because it's got Status in there, and the birds really love to pick at the Status leaves until they're bigger plants. And so that's the last of my Status, and I want to make sure that it actually does something this year. So cover that bed up, but I'll come out tomorrow and check on everything, make sure things still look good, make sure the irrigation is running over here, and then we'll go back to the house and finish up in the front garden and be doing all the potting up. There's so much to do in the greenhouse, which is great. So yeah, I still have, like I said, bed space that I'm gonna rehab. We have plenty of compost to work with, and then I can plant summer successions in here while all the Lizzie and stuff is working over here. So I do have bed space now, and we still have 3 more beds to finish down there. What I'm thinking, I'll just do sunflowers down at that end, as long as things continue to grow here. Mums as well. I do have mums coming. So the mums are basically healed in to these crates over here until it's time to put them back in the ground. But I do want to get as many sunflowers down there because I'll do multiple successions. I already should have had some in the ground at this point, but with everything that's happening, I'm behind. So yeah, I mean, I feel good about what it looks like up there and how I really loosened up the soil and was able to, once I put the compost on top and then, stuck my finger in to plant the seedlings, it felt nice and loose now. So I really hope that has fixed the problem, at least temporarily. I can keep loosening the soil, keep adding compost. That should over time fix this compaction, because it'll just increase the amount of organic matter that's in there, and that will inherently loosen the soil. Okay guys, short video today, but thank you for hanging out. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden. Happy Friday, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.